Hey, this is Daniel Mazenev, also known as Suburban, and I'm going to be taking you through some of the songs off of my new album, If Nevermore, for SoundCloud's voice notes. Mycelium Eyes is the intro track to If Nevermore. The song is about a sudden transformation, like a veil being pulled off of one's eyes, a much needed paradigm shift. More specifically, it talks about the aftermath or the come down of a psychedelic trip that you just spent with someone you love, someone you hold dearly and have lived with, and realizing that they are maybe not the person that you thought they were, or even worse, you are not the person that you thought you were. A really interesting fact that I'd like people to know about the song is the intro of the song was actually birthed in the outro of my last album, Hive, in the same project file of Hedon. It's very crazy to me because I didn't find this out until way after, when I went back to Hedon's project file to borrow a sound for another song off If Nevermore, In Sunder. There's like a choral sort of lead that waltzes along to the song. And when I went back and I realized that, I was like, wow, this is a little too poetic, in the way that the serpent eats its own tail. Now here's Mycelium Eyes. Hey, this is Daniel Mazenev, also known as Suburban, and I'm going to be taking you through some of the songs off of my new album, If Nevermore, for SoundCloud's voice notes. What You Sow is a love song cloaked in wrath, in despair. It's essentially a warning to who the song was written for, the one falling in love, that they will get more than what was asked for. That there are consequences to entering into this bond, this relationship, because it could very well end in pieces. A really interesting fact that comes with this song is I made it in a dream. I kid you not. I was in the midst of waking up and I was lucid dreaming to an extent before I decided, oh shit, that's a good one. And I got out of bed just to make it during like the really early morning when I usually wouldn't have woken up, actually. So I'm glad I got up for it. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I sleep and dream entire instrumentations or productions and melodies, sometimes lyrics. Sometimes the conscious mind is aware enough of whether it's a good enough idea to actually get up and go to my studio to get it down or even record it. Now here's What You Sow. Make Me Forget is very much a sister song to What You Sow in its swung, four on the floor, driven dance beat, definitely referencing this late 70s, 80s new wave sound in sort of a contemporary take on production. Make Me Forget is about doing everything in your power to unlearn yourself and your behaviors and your core as a person to get back to at least some shard of who you were. The verse is actually a completely different song intertwined with the chorus, having to do with being in love with someone who is keeping secrets from you, and you're keeping secrets from them, and it sort of being this orbit of distrust, and that sort of being washed away by this idea of what you came to this person for in the first place, which was to make you forget who you were and to grow as a person. Now here's Make Me Forget. Oh, I am tonight. Mascara was one of the last singles off of If Nevermore. I wrote this song when I was 19, and it tells about me losing my virginity. I am very quickly taught a lesson about trust and allowing people into my life and the choices that we can make to either grow or reduce ourselves. It was strange because when I showed her the song, while Thrill Seeker was being finished, she cried, and I had to completely reformat my idea of how to write a song in order to protect her from having her feelings hurt, which birthed Hive. And it wasn't until the very ending of Hive that I realized I was locking away so many emotions that eventually would have exploded afterwards into a huge repression bomb. And thus this album came out of that. So I thought it was a bit special including this song and coming back to it and reworking it for this album's sake. Now here's Mascara.